Hi guys, welcome back. We're starting my series for my close-ups of the painted miniatures. Now, first off, you'll notice you have this box here, right? Now, probably have seen my custom table, the game tray, and all that kind of stuff. And my dice even. I like to weather everything and have an aged look to it. Now, these boxes were painted and aged in the same way as my game board. So each country has a box. Well, some share. Like for example, I have Anzac in one, along with China, and I think there's France along with UK. But for the most part, aside from that, they all have their own boxes. Now, each box is also inlaid with a medal or some sort of pin from World War II. Now, this one being a hat pin, right? So each of them has an authentic one inlaid in, except for Germany. Germany's Iron Cross was almost $400, and I wasn't going to inlay that into my case. So what I did was I made a copy of it. Okay, so I keep the original one, and then the copy one is in here, but it's painted to look just like the original. It looks, you really can't tell the difference, but when I get to Germany, I'll show you the difference. So each lid, you have the ribbon that, for that metal or pin, and on the back of here is where I have my setup charts. Okay, you'll see you have the setup chart for 1942. For 1940, and then you also have the setup chart for 1942. And here has the turn sequences for both, the starting incomes for both. Also, it's split up if you're playing just the Europe side or global. It's split up for the IPCs. So everything, all the data you need is in here. And I really like these charts because you can just quickly go through and you can just count to make sure that you have the correct amount set up. Not just kind of trying to, on the default boxes, you just have words and words and words and words, and there's no columns to really tell. Oh, okay, I'm supposed to have 2 fighters and 1 tack. You have to read. I think this way is a lot easier to tell. After you're done setting up, you can just count. Oh, 1 mech, 2 mechs. Do I have 2 mechs on the board? Yeah, I'm good, right? So this is something that all my lids have. I think is really cool. But now we'll move on to the units. Now, I keep a lot of units. As I bought a lot of extra ones. Okay, so there's a lot of units in here. That is more so than what comes with the game. And also, I replaced a lot of the units. Not so much in this box. Everything was okay, though. I did replace all the tanks. Okay, the original out of box T34s I just didn't really like. I like these ones have a little more detail around the wheels. Not to mention, just overall quality of the unit. I think it's a lot better quality than what comes out of the box. Also, aside from that tank, here, move these out of the way because this is going to get full. Aside from that tank, I also had another variant. I wanted a T26 as well, just because I like to have a little bit of variance on the board. Have a couple different tanks. And I do that for all the countries. Aside from France. France, I did get actual French units though, but like I said, I'll show you that when we get to the UK and France box. And the hard part about painting these is the color palettes, right? You have to have a color palette, and you have to pick something, right? Unfortunately, everybody can't be green, so you have to pick a color palette that when on the board to playing the game, you can really tell the difference in the units. Now these are all out of the box ones. I have more fighters and more and tanks and everything and bombers, but I didn't change them. They are what came with the game. And they all have different markings on them. Some have the red star, some have the one with the white around it. Different markings. Just something just to make them a little bit different. You don't want to. To me, I just don't want to look at the same units. It's just kind of. I think it adds a little more style to when you're playing. You know, just seeing these different pieces everywhere. Um, Said nothing crazy on the C units. You know, you've seen my video for you know where to get the decals. I showed you that, you know, the flags, you know, so you know where to get that kind of stuff. These are all out of the box pieces. I do like how on these Russian ones, I really like how these subs came out. You can see like at the weathering kind of going down the side there. And I also really like how the transports came out. I'm very happy with the transports. The big barges. You know, of course they're everything has a Russian star on it. Aside from 2 units, I don't mark the artillery and I don't mark the anti-aircraft. Guess there's not really a convenient spot, and generally those are with other units anyways. So you know it doesn't, you know, there's no kind of confusion. I did mark the United States. I did mark their artillery, and then that was like the first ones I did, and then I kind of realized it was kind of pointless. If you can tell on the picture, and hopefully these are coming out clear enough, but even the numbers on the ships, there we go. They all have, oh, let's see, there we go. They all have numbers on them. And to me, tell you, that was a pain, right? That was a huge pain. Here, just in case you didn't get this one, let's go a little closer there. Yeah, it was a huge pain getting these numbers on here, but I really like the weathering on these. Just kind of what I would think to be all just Russian stuff, you know, back then, you know, half of it up there, you know, freezing. Just the anti-air is nothing special about this, just a little bit of weathering on it. Now also the mechs, I replaced all of those because I didn't like how the bed wasn't hollow. I really like how this one's hollowed out, and on the out of box one, they're not like that. They're just flat on top, right? And it's just, I don't think it looks as good. And all the pieces I've bought extra and the different styles all got at Historical Board Gaming. Sorry if my big old thumbs are getting in the way trying to show it off. Also on these as well, I did different markings on them. Just some have, like this one. This one has it on the doors. Let's see if I get that in there. So they all have different, you know, they're not all exactly the same. Of course, you have a couple that, you know, you'll have some that are the same, but for the most part, they're you know, you have different variants. And also, here's another style of the truck. This one's actually isn't the half track. It's the, you know, it's got the dually on the back, but it's the same vehicle. Like I said, it's just, you know, to have a little bit of variant on the board, you know. These are the artillery. I do not mark, but you know, even the little barrel hole, you know, painted in there, just a little added touch. Now these bases, you know, I do the, you know, do it the kind of the reddish color, you know. Let's get a different one. Actually, it looks like I gotta touch him up. He got chipped. Let's put him aside so he can go back. I'll fix him up right after this video. Now these units have been through a lot of games. I mean, a lot of games. And so you can see that, you know, that last one had a little bit of wear on it, but they generally, I mean, there's a lot of games and the wear is slim. What took a long time was really just the research in trying to find a historically accurate colors like I said, that don't mix with another country's historically accurate colors. That was the hardest part, really, and then trying to mix the paint, trying to get it to match. Um, of course, it's hard because all the ships are gray. I mean, pretty much every nation's ship is gray. So you try to do different shades of gray, different deck colors. Um, it's funny. The reason why I even started painting units is because playing the game, you would get confused on which is the destroyer and which is the cruiser, right? Some cruisers look like other nations' destroyers, and it's just like, what is what? So that's why we actually started painting the units, or I should say I started painting the units, was because the decks, right? We started, okay, if the deck is painted, it's a cruiser. Okay, if the deck is not painted, then it's a destroyer. So all of my cruisers have the painted wooden, to simulate, the wooden decks, right? And then we took it a step further. Okay, not only that, the battleships get painted a deck color, because then okay, these are your bombardment ships. Which ones can bombard? All the ones with the painted decks. Those are the ones that can bombard, right? And then it was just kind of like, okay, well, the capital ships get the flags. Those are the ones that you get 2 hits. Now, of course, to an experienced player, all that kind of stuff is kind of pointless. But as you yourself are learning, and you trying to teach other people, even after you learn the game and you know what a destroyer is and what a cruiser is without thinking twice about it, it doesn't mean your new friend isn't going to have that problem, right? And you don't want to be sitting there answering the question every single time, which one's the destroyer, which one's the cruiser, because if you haven't been through that, I guarantee you will go through that, and it does get kind of annoying. And so now you just say, hey, what is the one with the painted deck? I don't even answer him. It's just kind of, hey, is the deck painted? No. Well, then you know what the answer is, right? So it kind of makes it a little easier. As far, and there's a couple other things too. If it's got a flag, it gets 2 hits, right? If it's got painted decks, those are the ones that can bombard. So like I said, so to make kind of stuff easier to play the game is what initiated the whole time to paint it. Because what happened was we had painted decks. Then it was like, hey man, you should paint all the units, and that's what happened. I painted all the units. Okay, so this is Russia. There isn't anything else to show in there. We got the land units, we got the air units, we got the sea units. So that is it. There's no reason to get them all out. There are, just like I said, there are the variants in the pieces as far as how they're painted, but aside from that, they're all the same. Just remember, it's a scheme. You're going for a paint scheme. You don't want to make sure that the theme you pick has a flow to make it very distinguishable on what pieces on the board, because some people don't like playing with painted pieces. I haven't come across that in my pieces, as I've been told they're very easy to spot. People come over and they don't have a problem telling what team is what team. So, okay, guys, well, that's it. We will do, I'm not sure who I'll do next. We'll see. But we'll try and get one of these up every day this week until we are completed. All right, guys, take care.